Hi, my name is Ash Berry and I run a Pilates studio in Melbourne called Movementality with my partner Rob Carruthers. And today I'm going to take you through a quick workshop called Understanding Your Nervous System in a Global Pandemic. I wrote this workshop at the end of last year to just try to help people get a better grasp of the physiological changes in their body that they might be experiencing and why those kind of changes might be occurring because of lockdowns or fear of the virus, these kind of things. So I want to show you a few slides first, and then we're going to go through some physical movement together. So as you can see, I'm down here and I'll try and move me around so you can still see me, but we'll be looking at the slides for the next couple of minutes. So we're going to start with movement and the nervous system. And specifically, I want to refer to the sensory motor feedback loop. Here is an image of that loop. What we see with the sensory motor feedback loop is that our brain starts to detect a stimulus or a stressor. It will interpret that information and send it via the motor neuron, which you can see here, to the muscles. It's basically telling the muscles to do something in relationship to the stimulus or stressor. The muscle will then act or direct the movement and send a sensory information back via the sensory neuron to the brain to let it know that it's completed the movement. Now, this is called your sensory motor feedback loop, and it's going on thousands and thousands of times a minute with all different parts of your body just so that you can sense, move, and act. What happens though sometimes is this sensory motor feedback loop can become over um, exhausted basically, and it can actually not get all the information through. This often happens when the muscle is already maxed out. So I'm going to give you a moment to just put your hands on your traps up here and just get your fingers and push down quite firmly. And you might notice that there's a bit of discomfort there, maybe even pain, depending on how tight you are through this area. Now, this is a really great, very quick example of sensory motor amnesia, because until you created a new sensory input into that muscle by pressing with your fingertips, the muscle itself wasn't sending any messages to the brain that it was tight or needed to be released. So really, these muscles get maxed out and they cannot receive any more input. That means that the motor neuron isn't able to function very well because no matter what the brain's sending, it just isn't getting into the muscle. What happens then is that the brain, because it can't send the signal, it has billions of other things to focus on in the day. You know, we're so split in our time and we're always changing what we're up to that it actually just forgets that information because it's like, I've got too many other things to prioritize. And so then the sensory neuron also isn't firing particularly well. And what happens is we lose this sensory motor feedback loop. Now you can imagine how many muscles in your body. Here we go. And so you can imagine how many muscles in your body might be in that experience, or even just how your sensory motor feedback loop might be a little bit compromised if you're so focused on so many different things at once. And so this is something that you might be experiencing in your body: aches and pains, things that feel a little bit numb. These can all be part of how that feedback loop is maybe not working as well as it normally could. So then let's talk about fight, flight, or freeze versus rest, digest, and engage. And this refers to our sympathetic versus our parasympathetic nervous system response. I'll just move myself here. So here is a little image of the brain. And when we're talking about survival mode, fight, flight, and freeze, what happens here is this prefrontal cortex, the learning, thinking, analytical brain, which is it's our human brain, that actually goes offline. So that ability to kind of rationalize and analyze and put context into a circumstance actually starts to not work particularly well. And our limbic system, which is a little bit lower here, this is really part of our emotional brain, that takes over. So it really becomes about heightened emotions, survival, like heart rate, and also just like how we interpret experiences doesn't always have that learning, thinking, analytical brain. It becomes very felt, and that can not always have the same clarity. So, what we see as a result often when we're in that fight, flight, or freeze is actually a postural response. And I've just got the two postures up here. The first one that you might notice in yourself or see in others is something called the withdrawal response. Now, that's a bit of a shutdown. So, it's often, it's actually done by all vertebrates, and it's this reflexive contraction of the front of the body. So, you might find that the limbs turn inwardly, the shoulders hunch forward, the front of the body is kind of curved, and you might notice that they're in this kind of forward posture. I'm very exaggerated there, but you might notice that even with yourself sitting at the desk, you might feel, oh, I've always got my shoulders hunched forward at the moment. Now, that could be potentially a bit of a withdrawal response. The other response here that I've chosen to flag is the Landau response. And that's really your fight response. That's your call to action. So it's like, get ready to go, and you open the front of your body and you're contracted down through the back of your body. And it might be a bit more of a, not so much aggressive, but very assertive way of being. And that's something to consider, is like noticing in yourself when you have come face to face with this global pandemic. Are you more withdrawn? Do you feel kind of lethargic? Are you closing down from the world, or are you going into hyperdrive? Have you gone into doing 10 things at a time and trying to just go, 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 and feel that you're on it, but your nervous system is not necessarily like restoring and resting? It's actually just like in hyperdrive. So these are two of the responses that you might notice posturally in your body, in yourself, your children, or your partner. So let's now look at the stages of a stress response. Stress is essentially the rate of wear and tear in the body. I like this quote because it's not definitive to one thing. So each individual will have a different level of resilience in their nervous system, and so their rate of wear and tear will differ. We're going to talk specifically about something called general adaptive syndrome, and this is the stages of the stress response. So we begin with the alarm reaction, and that is really the moment in time where we're kind of alerted to the danger. So in relation to the global pandemic, that would really be at the beginning of last year when we started to hear about it in different countries, and then we became aware that it was in Australia. The second stage is the stage of resistance. Now, the stage of resistance carries on for different periods of time depending on what kind of stressor it is. And it really has been a very long stage of resistance in the global pandemic, quite different to some more acute stressors like an alarm going off, or having a difficult altercation with a client or a colleague, or running away from a tiger. All of those are stress responses that kind of happen very quickly and also resolve quite quickly. Whereas the pandemic has gone on for a long time. We're now looking at 12 plus months. So that stage of resistance has really been drawn out over months and months, and that can really have quite a significant impact on an individual's nervous system. And then thirdly, we move to the stage of exhaustion. And that's really looking at specifically the nervous system has like shot out that adrenal information, shot out that cortisol to really help the person keep going. And that throughout that stage of the resistance, it's been challenged and challenged and challenged to keep having that response. And then the adrenal glands fatigue, the body becomes exhausted, the person feels like they can't get out of bed in the morning. And suddenly at the beginning of the pandemic, when we were getting up to walk every day for an hour and a half, going for these long walks, now it feels hard to go for 20 minutes before we feel fatigued, before we feel exhausted in our bodies, and we just feel like we can't do it anymore. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because this is a very real experience that many of my clients have been through, and myself as well. And I just want to give you some affirmation that it's not something that you're imagining. It's not getting weaker, or it's not losing energy. It's just quite literally your nervous system is going through these stages of a stress response, and potentially if you are at a stage of exhaustion, it's going to take some very specific steps to be able to bring you back out of that again. So things to remember about a stress response is it's not positive or negative. Instead, it's a series of inevitable demands placed on our bodies as we continue to live. And that really references the quote, the rate of wear and tear on our body. As we live, inevitably we experience stress or different stresses, and how we react and respond to those is going to determine how well we age, how injury-free we are, and how kind of settled and like calm we feel in our bodies as well. Another thing to notice is a stressor can be real or perceived. So stress doesn't have to just be something as severe as the global pandemic. It could be fear of getting the virus. That could be the stressor for you. And maybe that's not necessarily a huge risk, but it doesn't matter, because if you perceive that to be a risk, then that's going to have the same stressful impact as if you were to get the virus. So the real or perceived is really interesting, because it can actually, that's how it can really impact some individuals more than others. And the issue is not the stressor itself, but in fact, it's how we respond or adapt to the stressor in order to recover adequately. And really, that's in reference to our resilience. So let's do a body scan. Who feels like this? And I've got that gorgeous cat clawing to life. I want you to kind of think about what a body scan will do for you. So we'll do a body scan in a minute together. But just to let you know, a body scan connects your mind and your body so that you are able to reactivate conscious brain and move out of the fight, flight, or freeze response. So we're trying to bring that conscious brain back into the equation. A body scan will heighten your awareness and make you notice areas of the body that are sore or tight, even if you previously couldn't feel them. So it's going to help with that sensory motor feedback loop. And if we can quieten down and listen to our bodies, it will give us information to help us calm down and heal ourselves. So in the somatic realm, we really deal with the fact that the body knows, it has a map of our experiences. It has intuition, it has gut feeling, it knows what is going on and it knows how to heal, but we just have to actually give it permission to speak and really give ourselves time to listen to that. So I'm going to come out of my share and let's take a pause and we'll set up to do some movement together. So for the next part of the session, we're just going to go through some really simple little physical movements to try and help unlock our nervous system and return us to a space of homeostasis. So first, you're going to need a pen, but we won't use that straight away, and a chair. And if you can, it doesn't matter if your chair has arms, but if it can have a high back or just a back at all, that can be useful. Something like a bar stool or a bench is a little bit more tricky to work with, but see how you go. And you're going to sit forward in your chair. You're going to place your feet flat on the floor, feel your sit bones or your bottom sitting into the chair. Feel a long, tall spine, and then just let your arms relax down by your side. We're going to close your eyes down and we're going to pay attention to our breath. So you might like to put your hands on the sides of your ribs here. And as you breathe, you're going to feel that gentle expansion of your ribs sideways. And then exhale, gentle softening. And we're going to do this a few more times. Gentle inhale. Feel that expansion. And gentle softening. Some cues you might like to think about here is imagining a gold band around the base of your ribcage all the way around. And as you breathe, visualize that gold band expanding in a 360-degree way and then softening in a 360-degree way. And really we're just bringing our attention to our diaphragm and our diaphragmatic breath, which is a really sustainable breath and helps us really regulate our nervous system. Let's do 2 more like this. And then you're going to do a body scan. So just relax your arms down by your side. And you're going to scan from the top of your head all the way down through your body. You might like to use the image of light, shining light through your body, or you might like to use texture like water or smoke or by something like that you identify with that feels nurturing for you. And you're going to let that texture or that colour or that light move through your body. Visualize it hitting the top of your head, coming down through your head, neck, shoulders, arms and torso, belly, spine, pelvis, and then down through your legs, knees, calves and shins, and feet. And as you're visualizing that, just notice how you feel. So just starting to get a sense of what it feels like to be in your body today. Seeing if you can give that a word. Then we're going to take the pen. And you're going to focus on the tip of the pen. So take it out in front of you, arm's length. Focus on the tip. And then slowly start to bring the pen in towards your nose, maintaining focus. So if it starts to become two pens, you've come too far. Hold that focus and then take it back out again. So you're playing with your field of view here. So you're starting out far and bringing that focus in, maintaining tip of the pen. And then reaching back out again. We're going to do that 2 more times. So just really noticing if your eyes start to go blurry and not taking it too far, if that's the case. But the challenge is to get it closer without your eyes blurring off or starting to see 2 pens. Good, and then hold the pen in at that point and you can start to do circles. You're going to do about 6 circles in each direction. And as you do this, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing here. When our nervous system is in fight or flight, we have a tendency to send our eyes outwardly to really try and look for danger. We won't notice we're doing that, but using the pen and bringing the focus in can really help calm the nervous system down. So there's just a few little neuro hacks. You might have heard of these from Rob, my partner. And these are useful for helping down-regulate the nervous system. You can play around here, you can do circles, you can do infinity signs, and you can also keep the pen still and look past the pen to focus on something else, and then bring your focus back to the pen. So there's a few different things you can do to challenge the eyes here. Amazing for postural reset, but also helping you down-regulate your nervous system. That can also help as well release your neck tension if you've been at the computer a lot during this pandemic. So from here we're going to do some shoulder shrugs. Really simple, just breathe in, feel that diaphragmatic breath again. Let the shoulders lift up and then exhale and just allow them to drop down. So you're not pulling down at all. And again, lift the shoulders up. And exhale and allow them to drop down again. We'll do a couple more of those. Try to imagine that your arms are quite loose and that you're just feeling that you're almost being picked up by your shoulders. And then relax back down. From there you're going to add some circles. So really simple movements, but just paying attention to how your body feels as you do them and focusing on quality more than quantity. So 4 to 6 to 10, but just focusing on really noticing your body as you move. From these circles, we're going to take our hands. I'm actually going to turn side on for this one, so bear with me. So for the next one, we're going to take our hands, take them behind the back of our head, sit our bottom back into the chair, and gently press your head into your hands to bring your elbows round into your peripheral vision. The reason being is because you bring your scapula round onto your ribs and then your head can be heavy. I don't want you to feel like you're using your neck here. So elbows in your peripheral vision, head heavy, leaning back into your chair and then expanding and opening through your heart space. Breath in and then exhale, coming back up. And you may feel like you want to curl forward a little bit, but don't collapse through your spine. So drawing your belly button back and creating a curved shape like a wave. And then again, rolling yourself back. Head heavy, elbows in your peripheral vision, and allow your body to open. Heart space to the ceiling. And then coming forward, connecting through your tummy and allowing that curve through your upper back. Let's do this a couple more times. This is really working to combat your forward posture. So we tend to get a little bit slumped and a little bit forward when we've been in something like the pandemic. Not just from the computer. I know that's sometimes what we all think of being at the computer too long, but it's actually just that shutdown response. So really trying to combat that with movement, which is saying, hey body, it's okay, you can open up and you can be safe here. So using physical movement to remind the body of what is physiologically possible for it to calm down. And then you can do some round the world. So you're going to focus on going forward and then sending your body over to one side, back into the chair, open through your back body, round to the other side and coming forward again. Just doing that a couple of times to each side. Being careful you don't pull on your head here. So it's tempting to go, oh, my neck feels really sore, I'm going to stretch that out. It's okay to do that, but what you're focusing on afterwards is trying to get this scoop. So you're not pulling on your neck at any point. In fact, your head is really heavy in your hands. Good, and let's just do that one more time each side. Around the world, open through your heart space. Each movement, reminding your body, it's okay, we're reinforcing that safety. It might seem like almost too simplistic, but it's actually amazing that movement and physical change in your body has an impact physiologically. So you're hacking your system by doing a movement that doesn't correlate to feeling shut down. And so that's how it helps with the physiology. From here, we're going to go into a little twist. So you're going to take your opposite hand over your knee, reach the arm back if you can. Big open stretch out to the side and close through the opposite knee, and then unfold that arm, reaching back. Use a little bit of push on the knee, but not much, to really twist through your spine to come around and change. And again, this is an expansive, opening movement. It's getting your thorax, so your upper body moving, which is really going to help with diaphragmatic breathing. And it's just reminding your body that it's safe. When your body feels unsafe, it doesn't want to move very much. It pulls everything in. And so by doing expansive, opening, reaching movements, again, you are just repatterning the concept into your body that it's safe, it's ready to reach, it's ready to go to new heights. Last one, we're going to put the hands onto the handles. If you don't have handles, just put them onto the chair. You're going to place your feet flat on the floor and sit your bottom a little bit further forward. From here, we're going to do breath in. Exhale, curl your pubic bone to your belly button. Push up through your arms. Lift your heels if you need to. And open through your chest. And then bring your head forward and roll yourself back through your spine. And then sitting down onto the chair. That's quite challenging. If you haven't bared weight through your arms recently, you might feel a little bit of a challenge there, but that's okay. So we're going to focus on the push and the reach. So breathe in. Exhale, push with your arms. Reach your pubic bone forward. Reach your knees forward, hips forward, ribs forward, chest forward. Open through your upper body. Big heart space opening. Breath in. And then bring your head back in line and start to roll yourself back down. Good, give your arms a little shake. We're going to do one more. Breath in. Exhale, push and reach. Big reach. And then pull your hips back and take a rest. Good. So from here, we're going to come up to standing, pop your hands on the chair, step your feet back a little bit and a bit wider, and then bend both knees. So I'm kind of in a 4-point kneel, except that I'm standing. This can be a really nice one if people are finding it difficult to get down onto the floor. From here, you're just going to bend one knee and straighten the other and just let your hips swing from side to side a little bit, just stretching out through the back of the legs. And then we're going to go into some cats. So with cats, you're going to have both knees bent, tip your tailbone under, draw your sits bones together, and feel how that feeds into the curl of your spine. And then spread your sit bones wide and open your chest. Good, and we're just going to do a few of those. And if you've done Pilates or yoga before, you'll know your cat stretch quite well. Sometimes what we fail to realise though is that cats don't actually move like this. It's not quite as set. And what cats do is something called pandiculation. Cats and dogs and even humans, all vertebrates do it. And it's a systematic stretch that the body wants to do to release muscular tension. So for a moment, I'm going to get you to forget everything you know about Pilates and yoga and just see what you can remember about cats or dogs. And what is it like to actually let your body do what it needs to do? So it's not going to be even. It might not be very glamorous. And it might be a little bit subtle, or it could be really big, depending on what your body is asking for. But the most important thing is you don't choreograph it or try to make it anything. You're actually just tapping into the sensations in your body and saying, hey body, where do you want to take me next? What do you want from this experience? We don't give ourselves permission very often to allow our bodies to tell us. We tend to get our brains to tell our bodies what to do. But just for 30 seconds here is an opportunity to pandiculate and let your body lead the way. So it might be in your neck, it might be one-sided. You might find that you need to pull back or reach forward. But really think about what it's like when a cat or a dog gets out of its bed, and before it kind of gets on with things, it does these interesting, really strong stretches. They even shake a little bit. So letting yourself pandiculate in this same way. And then coming back to over your feet, let go of your hands and roll yourself up the spine. Take a couple of shoulder rolls back. Coming back to seated in your chair. Again, sitting a little bit forward on your sit bones. Arms down by your side. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. And just do one more body scan. Notice how it feels as you go from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. Sensationally, what is occurring for you. And then also noticing emotionally what is occurring, like a sense of self. Has that shifted at all from moving in this way? Sometimes you might feel more calm or at ease. You might feel more alert and connected to your body. And you're just trying to notice. That's the most important part, is just noticing what it's like to be in you. Because if you can develop this awareness, then it makes it much easier to be in the outside world, knowing who this person is, knowing how I feel, and sensationally and emotionally what's going on for me today. And that concludes the workshop. So I hope you've enjoyed yourselves, and I hope that you've gotten something out of it. And if you have any questions, feel free to email or call us at the studio. We'd be more than happy to help. Thank you. Bye.